Hey, how's it going, everybody? This is Boost Brigade, and seems like everybody's on quarantine right now, so I hope everybody's staying healthy and safe. So I have a little bit more time to make a couple videos on some knives that I enjoy, and today we're going to be talking about the Hoback Knives MK Ultra. Now, this knife, there's not actually a whole lot of reviews that I've seen, just a couple here and there, and they're pretty old. And none of them feature the titanium version of the MK Ultra. And so this one has a milled titanium pocket clip and a titanium scale. And the blade length on this is about 2.6 inches. It says 2.5 inches, but I measured it. It's about 2.6, and it's all cutting edge. So actually, it performs okay, but it's not really great for slicing or anything like that. But it is pretty thin behind the edge. So it is a pretty decent blade. And I live in a city, so 3 inches or less is what I'm allowed to carry legally. And this also features S35VN steel. And I got the black DLC version because I couldn't find any of the other ones. And I just wanted to make a video on it because this knife is, the build quality is amazing on this knife. And for such a small knife, it's built extremely well. And this is considered a mid-tech by Jake Hoback. And it's got a sub liner lock. It's like a tab lock right there. And it's got a good lockup, no blade play or anything like that. And the beauty of it is that it has like a medium detent. So it's not that hard to flick out, but it flicks out every time. And when you're returning the blade, you can't feel the detent ball at all. I did take this one apart, and I believe they're running on, the titanium versions are running on ceramic bearings because they look ceramic to me. I know they used to be stainless steel thrust bearings, but I believe that he quietly upgraded it to ceramic bearings. But it carries in the pocket pretty good. As you can see, this pocket clip keeps your, just this little nugget of it sticking out, but the only issue is these can sometimes grab your hand, but it's such a small knife that I slide it all the way to the back of my pocket, and it's not really a problem. And the milled titanium clip comes on the titanium version, and it's a pretty decent clip. And as you can see, there's a little bit of wear on this knife because I do carry it a lot. And it doesn't wear badly, actually. For the DLC, it just kind of gives a nice, faded lines on the hard lines of the scale. So over time, I think it's going to wear quite well. Um, and the tolerance is also, there's like, as far as blade play, even with the lock release, there's no blade play. And then on full lockup, there's no up and down play, but it just feels super, super smooth. And when they first came out, they were about $450, and Jake Hoback has since discontinued this model. But on Blade HQ, they had them for about $220, and you can find them on eBay, really good condition ones, for about $180 to $250. And for that price, for an American-made knife that has such precision in the machining and the tolerances, I think that's actually a really good deal. Um, so another thing also is the blade stock is 1.2 in thickness, and then the handles are about 0.42 of an inch. And overall, it's a really good knife, and I'm surprised that nobody else, not a whole lot of people even mention this knife anymore. And I think it's one of the unsung, you know, EDC carries for like a city or urban environment that nobody ever mentions anymore. So I just wanted to make a video on the titanium version, and so maybe more people can see it, and maybe you can find one on eBay, or if they still have some new ones. At $450, which was the original price, that's really, really iffy unless you're like a huge Jake Hoback fan. It's probably a little overpriced, but then, before they were about $300, and then you can find them now for 185 to 250. So I think at that price, this is absolutely a bargain for what you're getting. Um, and it comes in this really nice box right here. So you got the Hoback knives, certificate of authenticity right there. And then it also has a little toolkit right there for all of your tools, molded foam for it. So the packaging is really nice. And then that's just some of the details on it. So, but overall, I've never had a Jake Hoback knife, so this was my first knife. I've never bought one because usually his knives are quite big, and I don't really carry the large knives. He's coming out with a Jake Hoback Radford now, and that's supposed to be 3.25 inches with 156 thousandths on the blade stock. So that's going to be another great EDC option that he's going to be releasing soon. And just for a size comparison, I'll set this here. I do carry the Benchmade Valet quite a bit, and as you can see, when you set it side by side to the Valet, effectively, like the handle area is almost as long, and then the blade is just a little bit shorter. But as far as like ergonomics and everything, um, I do get, I have a medium sized glove, and I do get a nice 4 fingers on there. If not, my pinky is just, hovering around there. But the way it fits in your hand and everything, for such a small knife, the ergonomics are really good. And then the only negative I have to say about this knife that I found is that the detent ball, when you release the tab, it drops right onto the detent ball. So it's stuck there, but you've now cleared the tab. So you always have to kind of push this on the flipper tab to get it to drop. And that's just one thing I found. It's not a huge deal, but it doesn't have that super fluid closing action because you have to overcome that detent ball. And then also, he's got the Psalm 23 and Hoback on there. I don't mind it. Some people might mind that, but I think it's just fine. Um, and then we'll compare it now to this is a Chris Reeve Sabenza. So this is my Prometheus Design Works Tanto. This is another Tanto option. So if we set these here, I'll try to line it up pivot to pivot. You can see that the effective grip area is about the same as a small Sabenza, even though it kind of tapers off in the back, and then the blade length is just about 0.4, just like a fingertip less on this knife. So that's your little size comparison. Um, but overall, I'm very impressed with this knife. I've had quite a few smaller knives, but this one just has such precision. You can't even feel the detent ball. It's like it's not even scraping along or anything. And this does not have the Hoback rolling detent. Um, and it just kind of fires right out. And then once you have to kind of overcome it with that flipper tab right there with my thumb, how I'm doing that. And then from there, it's almost a fall shed action, but it's super smooth. And I don't think there was any expense spared on this knife. He says it's an ultra high-end production knife, and I believe it because there's very few knives, of course, the Chris Reeve knives and Koenig knives, and some of the other knives I have fit and finish that match this. But for the size and the price that you can find these at now, I think it's a real good deal. And it disassembles okay, but those barrel spacers, the screws right here, they do go into the titanium, which makes it a little finicky, especially because the screws are so small. But it cleans up real nice, and that liner lock is actually like milled out into the scale and then pinned in. So it's not just like a regular little tab in there. It's got a whole little module in there that's pinned in. And so the design is really good, especially for this size. You don't want to be battling the frame lock and locking up the knife because it's so small. Um, So anyway, this is a review of the MK Ultra Titanium version. And overall, I think it's one of the best smaller knives you can get. And I'm really surprised that I haven't seen any other reviews on the titanium version. Obviously, I would have liked to have the stonewashed version, titanium, with the stonewashed blade, but I couldn't seem to find any that were available at the time. But yeah, and the DLC coating holds up pretty good. I've carried this to work quite a few times, and the blade doesn't even really have any scarring, just a little bit of faded here and there. And then the handle scales are just kind of wearing in real nice, so it kind of has that highlighted effect around the edges. So I think it's going to age pretty good as I carry it. So go ahead and let me know your thoughts and opinions. Like and subscribe. And everybody be safe out there. Wash your hands. Wear your mask if you have to, if you're going to be around large groups of people. And that'll be all. So thank you for watching. Take care.